I have sat at many tables in my life. Tables where I smiled and said I was fine. Tables where I ate in silence because I did not want anyone to see my hands shaking. Tables where I cut food into small pieces for my daughter and pretended the noise of the fork on the plate was the only sound I had heard all day. But there is one table I will never forget. My brother's table. Because it was the first table in 2 years where someone looked at me and did not ask if I was okay. He just said, "Sit down. You're home." I want to tell you about the 2 years that happened before that sentence.
All right, everyone, dig in.
Yay, it looks so good. I want some too. Me too.
Smells wonderful.
My name is Sarah. 2 years ago, my life was small, the way good lives often are. A flat on the second floor, a daughter named Mia, 19 months old, with a laugh that came from her whole body, and the habit of bringing me things. A sock, a spoon, a piece of dust, with the absolute conviction that she had found something important. My husband Ryan had been gone for 8 months by the time the story starts. Not left, gone. A stroke at 31. Fast. No warning. The kind of thing that happens to other people until the day it happens to you. I am not going to tell you grief makes you strong. I am going to tell you what grief actually did to me. It made me quiet. The kind of quiet that people around you stop noticing after a while because you are still showing up, still functioning, still cutting Mia's food into small pieces and saying thank you when people asked if there was anything they could do. I said no. Every time. I said no. Because I did not know how to say the actual answer, which was, I do not know how to do any of this, and I am terrified, and I am so tired I cannot remember what I felt like before I was tired. I want to tell you what it actually looked like. Because from the outside, it looked like someone who was managing.
All ready for the
I was not managing. I was performing managing. Every morning, I got Mia up and fed and dressed and to the childminder. Every morning, I smiled at the childminder and said, yes, we're doing all right. Every day, I went to work and answered emails and sat in meetings and made myself useful. And every evening at 7:30, when Mia was asleep, I sat down at the kitchen table and looked at the numbers. Rayanne had handled the money. Not because I could not, but because it had just become his thing. The way things become someone's thing in a marriage, without anyone deciding. So when he was gone, I sat at this table every night and tried to understand a life I had been living, but had not been reading. The rent, the bills, the childcare, the small debts I had not known about, the insurance that was less than I had thought. I made lists. I crossed things out. I made new lists. And then I would close the notebook and go to bed and lie in the dark and think, I cannot tell anyone how bad this is. Because if I told anyone how bad it was, then it would be real. And if it was real, I did not know what I would do. I kept this up for 14 months. 14 months of performing fine. And then one Thursday evening, in the middle of February, Mia did something that broke me open. She climbed up onto the sofa beside me. She put her small, warm hand on my arm. She looked at my face, the way children do, with that complete, unfiltered attention that adults spend their whole lives learning to perform. And she said, "Mama sad?" She was 21 months old, and she had been watching me be sad for so long that she had learned the word for it. That was the night I understood that I could not keep doing this alone. I called my brother Tariq that night. We had not spoken properly in months. Not because anything was wrong, just because time had done what time does when you are both surviving your own lives. He picked up on the second ring. I did not say hello. I said, "Tariq, I'm not okay." He said, "I know. I've been waiting for you to say that." I do not know what I expected him to say. Something practical, probably. A number to call. A website. Something helpful and a little bit distant. The way people are helpful when they do not know what to do with someone else's grief. But Tariq said, "Bring Mia. Come this weekend. Just come." I said I didn't want to impose. He said, "Sarah, stop. Just come." So I did. I packed a bag for Mia and a bag for myself. On a gray February Saturday morning, to the house where my brother lived, with his wife Amina and their 2 boys. I sat in the car outside for 4 minutes before I could make myself go in. Not because I was afraid, because I had been holding myself together so carefully for so long that I was not sure what would happen when I finally let someone else see the shape of it. The door opened before I knocked. Tariq just looked at me. He didn't say anything. He just stepped back to let us in. And that, just that stepping back made my eyes fill. Inside, it was warm. Not just the heating. I mean, warm the way houses are warm when they are full of people who are used to being together. His boys, Zaid and Omar, immediately adopted Mia with the complete authority of older cousins. They took her by the hand and walked her to the toy corner as if this had already been arranged. Mia went without looking back. Amina put a cup of tea in my hands before I had taken my coat off. Not ask me if I wanted one. Just put it in my hands. I stood in their hallway holding this cup of tea, and something in my chest did something it had not done in a very long time. It loosened. Just slightly. Just the smallest amount. But I felt it. We ate lunch around the table. Tariq's table is too small for 5 adults and 3 children. People's elbows touch. Someone always spills something. The boys argue about something that does not matter. Amina tells them to use their indoor voices. Tariq pretends he is not laughing. I sat at the edge of this and watched it and thought, I have been so hungry for this. Not food. This. The noise of it. The ordinary, unstoppable noise of people who belong to each other. Mia climbed onto my lap halfway through lunch. She pressed her back against my chest and ate from her plate with total comfort and confidence. The way she always does when she knows she is safe. And I held her, and I ate, and I listened to Tariq's boys argue about something involving a football card. And I thought, This is what I have been missing. Not help, not advice, not a plan. This. Just this. Amina disappeared quietly. The kind of disappearing that is actually a gift. The gift of leaving two people alone who need to talk. Tarek poured more tea. He didn't say anything for a moment. He just looked at me. Not the looking that asks, "Are you okay?" The looking that says, "I already know you are not, and I am not going anywhere." He said, "How bad is it, really?" Not "how are you?" How bad is it? I looked at my tea. And for the first time in 14 months, I told the truth. I told him about the notebook, the numbers, the 14 months of performing fine. The night Mia said "Mama sad," and I understood that my daughter had been watching me grieve and had learned the word before she had learned most other words. I told him about the evenings, the silence after 7:30, the way I had started rationing things, the heating, the food shop, the small treats, and not telling anyone because I did not want to be someone who needed help. I told him all of it, the whole shape of it, for the first time, out loud, to another person. And when I finished, Tarek did not say, "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" He did not say, "Oh, Sarah, I had no idea." He did not make it about the fact that I had kept it from him. He just said, "Okay. Okay. We'll sort it. Not you. We." I had not heard that word in 14 months. We. I had forgotten that we was something that could include me. And that was when my heart spilled over. Not loudly, not dramatically, just quietly. The way water spills when a glass has been too full for too long and someone finally tilts it gently. I put my face in my hands, and I cried.
Hey, it's going to be
At my
okay.
brother's table,
I know, but it's just
in the
so
afternoon
hard.
light,
I'm here for you. We'll get
with the
through
sound of
this.
his boys somewhere upstairs.
I love you.
I love you
For the
too.
first
Now,
time in
let's make some tea.
14 months,
Hey, it's
I
going to be
cried where
okay.
someone else could see me.
No, but it's just
And
so
he did not
hard.
try to stop
I'm
it.
here for you.
He just
We'll
put
get
his
through
hand on the
this.
table
Thank
close
you.
to mine
I love you.
and left it there.
I love you too.
That was
Now,
enough.
let's make some tea.
That was
Hey,
everything.
it's going to be okay.
I know, but it's just so hard.
I'm here
We
for
sat
you.
at that table for another 2 hours. Amina came back and did not pretend she had not heard. She sat down with us, pulled the notebook toward her, started reading. Nobody asked if that was okay. It just was. Tariq knew things I did not know. Not because he was smarter, because he had been through something similar 3 years before. A business that failed. Months of pretending. The particular shame of needing help when you have always been someone who did not need help. He said, "The worst part is thinking you are the only one. You are never the only one." We went through the numbers. All of them. the ones I had been afraid to say out loud. There were things that could be fixed quickly. A payment plan for one of the debts I had not known you could ask for. A bereavement support application I had been eligible for since Ryan died and had never applied for because I had not known it existed. There were things that would take longer. Finding work with better hours, looking at the childcare costs more carefully, thinking about whether the flat was the right size for what we actually needed now. None of it was magic. None of it was fixed in an afternoon. But it was written down by two people and Amina at a table. And written down is not the same as solved, but it is also not the same as carrying it alone in the dark. At some point, Mia came downstairs with Zayed and Omar, all three of them holding drawings they had made. Mia brought hers to me, a person with enormous round eyes, several extra arms, a sun in the corner. She put it on the table, among the bills and the notebook and the teacups. She said, "For you, Mama." I put it on top of everything else.
And somehow that felt right. Her drawing on top of the numbers, life on top of the difficult parts. That is the correct order.
I drove home in the dark. Mia fell asleep 10 minutes into the drive, the way she always does in the car. Suddenly and completely. One moment awake, the next moment gone. I drove, and I did not think about the numbers. For the first time in 14 months, I drove 40 minutes, and I did not think about the numbers. I thought about the word we. I thought about Tariq's hand on the table, about Amina pulling the notebook toward her without asking, about Mia's drawing with the extra arms and the sun. I thought about how I had been living as if needing people was a weakness I could not afford, as if asking for help would use up something I did not have enough of. I had it backwards. Needing people is not what empties you. Pretending you do not need them, that is what empties you. That is the thing that costs everything. I pulled into my street. Sat in the car for a moment before I got Mia out. The flat upstairs had its light on. The window I always left on, so it would not be dark when we came home. And for the first time, it did not look like a small, brave thing against the dark. It just looked like home. We went inside. I put Mia in her cot. She did not wake up. She just sighed. That particular sigh that means complete safety. And curled onto her side. I stood there for a moment in the doorway. And I thought, she is going to be okay. We are going to be okay. Not because anything was fixed, but because I had finally let someone sit at the table with me. And the table could hold both of us. 6 months later, the debt was on a payment plan. Not gone, on a plan. The bereavement support came through. 4 months of it. Enough to breathe. I changed jobs. Not a dream job, a better job. One that paid school hours and had a manager who did not flinch when I said, I have a child. Tariq called every Tuesday. Not to check on me, just to call. To tell me about Omar's football and Amina's bread that didn't rise, and the completely unremarkable details of his week. And I told him mine. Mia turned 2. She stopped bringing me spoons and socks. she started bringing me her drawings instead. Every one of them had extra arms. Every one of them had a sun. I stuck them all on the fridge. They are still there. I want to say something to anyone who is doing what I was doing. Performing fine. Cutting food into small pieces and calling it survival. Sitting with a notebook at 10 p.m. and not telling anyone how the numbers look. I want to say there is a table somewhere that has room for you. It might be your brother's. It might be a friend's. It might be someone you have not called in months because you did not want to impose. Because you decided without asking them that you were too much. You are not too much. You are someone who has been carrying something heavy for a long time and doing it quietly. And that is not strength. Or it is strength, but it is also loneliness. And loneliness is not the same as coping. The thing that changed everything for me was not a plan. It was not a payment arrangement or a support application or a better job. It was one sentence. Okay, we'll sort it. Not you. We. If nobody has said that to you yet, I am saying it now. Okay, we'll sort it. You do not have to sit at this table alone. Find your table. Or let someone find it for you. Mia is 3 now. She's